Moralis Web3 Online. This is the podcast. What you never knew you needed. Ready to broadcast. Coming to you live anywhere, anytime. Decentralized entertainment mixed with a rhyme. This is the Moralis Web3 podcast. Listen all the time from wherever you're at. Coming to you live, bringing the facts. Exclusively online. Press play and kick back.
Boom! And we're live again with another show, episode 4 of the Moralis Web3 Community Podcast. And thanks everyone for joining. I see it popping off in the chat already. Hi to Stephen, Senesis. I probably said that wrong. Alexander. Hey to everybody. My name is Bill Gilmore. I am lead front end of Moralis Web3. It is my pleasure to bring this podcast to you. And of course, I'm joined by my partner in crime. Here he is, Phil himself, head of events.
Hey! How's the Moralis community doing today? I'm glad to be here with you guys. It's really, it's exciting right now. And you probably aren't hearing a lot of people saying that because a lot of people are sad. They lost some money. Their bags are empty or diminished, and I get it. But that's not why it's exciting. It's exciting because if you're still here with us now, then you are part of the core Web3 development community. You are part of the most important group of builders that will build the future of the internet. I promise you. And it's because the people who are here now are professionals. And it doesn't matter that you're down. It doesn't matter that the market is down. You're here because you care about the future of finance. You care about the future of the internet. And you care about freedom for people everywhere on the planet. So welcome. Welcome to a group who understands what we're doing, who understands what you're building, and who's here to support you, because that's what this is all about. And thanks for getting us started, Bill. How about that theme song? Davide's been doing a good job getting that.
It's so good. It's so good. I didn't realize that on Slack I have all videos set to like 1.5 speed. So when I heard it this morning, I was like, oh man, it's like super fast. I was like, I actually like it super fast. But yeah, it's clearer now that it's being playing to me at normal speed. But yeah, thank you to Davide, man. Like what a great job. Like he does such amazing work and the graphics look awesome.
Absolutely. And we'll have more improvements to that intro coming as we go along. It's kind of a work in progress. Just want to keep it fun here. Feel free to show us your remix. Anybody who is so inclined in the audience here. This is a community channel after all. So, we want to have some fun while we also talk about serious stuff at the same time.
For sure.
Getting into that.
Let me kick it off, I guess, with our usual rundown of our goals, right? Shout out to Nikita, hi in the chat. So first of all, what do we do here? Every week we get together, Phil and I, and sometimes a special guest. Although today it's just the two bros together. But yeah, we showcase what's going to be new at Moralis. We talk about what's coming in the industry, what's happening right now. Obviously, FTX is like the big headline for the last couple of weeks. We also have sweet tips and tricks to get you started in Web3, get you building more effectively. And we really want to showcase community dApps. Now, we do have something kind of cool for that today to show for our dApp of the week. But I'm needing more content. And thankfully, Phil has the hackathon finishing. But please let us know if you're building anything cool or you have anything cool in production that is working with Moralis. Let us know about it. We really want to see that. Phil, do we have lots of great content coming? Have you been judging anything yet?
So I'm not part of the judging, and I'm always really clear on that. I'm not one of the judges, and I don't want to be, because I want to give you guys advice at any time. I want you to have one person that is a full-time professional in Web3 that you can call and ask a question about your dApp or about dApp ideas and really get to the bottom so you can start building. That's what I'm all about. I'm about getting you back into coding as quickly as possible and getting through any roadblocks that might be in your way, and also helping you to improve your dApps later on. That's the other half of it.
And pumping your life full of positivity, Phil. That's really what you're about. Like you're always bringing the positive vibes no matter what. I love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's something that we need to remember at times like this. So it's not just the crypto economy. Like the regular economy is very strange right now too. And people are worried about their savings. They're worried about their investments. They're worried about those things. And I get that, I'm right there with you. But at the end of the day, we need to remember things like in the Great Depression, or what, at least in the United States, we refer to as the Great Depression. I know they do a lot of other places as well, which is around the time of the 1920s. Well, during that time, not only was that the greatest economic downturn of that century, but it also was the time in which more millionaires were made than any other time in that century. So there was actually more millionaires made during a downturn than there was during any other period. And the reason why is when you're in situations like that or like this, that signals opportunity. That means that for the people who figure out what's going on and what we need to do, there's
Mhm.
opportunities for like tremendous success, unlike any other time. And I'm of the opinion, and I'll tell you this every single week, I'm of the opinion that Web3 development is the opportunity for this period of difficulty. And
Most definitely changed my life. Like coming to work in this industry, I've never had so much opportunity and reward. And like even doing this podcast, like I've always wanted to do something like this and never really knew what it was. And then one afternoon, I'm talking to Ivan. He's just like, "Hey, start a podcast," and I was like, "Okay, yay, let's do it." So yeah, glad to be here with you every week, Phil. Thanks for being on this journey with me. It's an adventure.
well, and I'm glad to have you here, Bill, because this podcast wouldn't be the same without you. Folks get to see me on this channel maybe like every single week for sure. So I'm glad that that you're joining in that regular live stream plan, because I really love what we're doing here. I love that we get to talk with everybody in the community just frankly like this every single week. And
Mhm.
that said, I don't avoid difficult topics, or we don't avoid difficult topics on this show either. And so I did want to get into some of the new things that I've seen in the past few days regarding the FTX incident, because I know that that's important to all of us, how that's going to end up, because we're almost all affected by it. It's okay
Mhm.
to recognize that you're affected by an incident and to follow it, but then to not get discouraged and to put that in its own compartment and allow yourself then later on to focus on your development, your plan, and the stuff that's really going to bring you success. Because other people's success, if you're invested with them and things like that, that can be enriching in its own ways. But let's flush all that out right now. Let's talk about that right now, so that when it's time to go back to building, we can get into building. We can not worry about this as much. I'm going to share my screen here. This gives a really good top-down view of the current
Oh, there he is,
the
the man of
current
the moment.
aftermath of the FTX incident. So obviously FTX declaring bankruptcy, true for FTX US as well, based on the sources that
Mhm.
I'm operating off of. And this gives you like a breakdown of all the different companies that were connected with FTX in one way or another. Now, some of these, and this is something that I want to bring this up in this channel, because they don't actually have like rock solid evidence where I can say this is how it works to you guys. I'm mostly just speculating with you, but it seems to me that while some of these companies had given money to FTX is the lender in other cases. And if
Mhm.
you're a recipient of a loan from FTX and you don't need further capital from them, maybe that's the other question. It could be that you had this like $300 million line of credit and you've borrowed 70 million, but then your operation requires that additional 230 in order to keep going on a day-to-day basis. That could affect you huge. But I'm wondering, what if it was a situation, and there has to be at least some in this list, that received a one-time or couple times investment from FTX, and then, I mean, perhaps they'll have to pay it back at one day, but they should still be doing fine, I would think. Wouldn't you? Maybe there's something I'm not thinking about here, Bill.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking. It's like you get a line of credit, and then your creditor disappears. Is that maybe a good thing for your company if you're in that very
So
lucky situation? But
the way that usually works is somebody will come along and buy the debt at a discount. So even potentially in an American bank. So an American bank could come along and buy as part of the bankruptcy a portion of the debt owned by FTX, and then they would have the right to collect the full amount or up to the full
right, okay.
amount. They may not be able to assess interest on it because the debt didn't originate with them. They may be able to. All these things need to be flushed out in court. And there's specific laws that guide each and every step of the way, which I'm not a lawyer. I'm not really all that familiar with. All I've seen is in practice what happens. So when you, for example, have student loans in the United States, it's extremely common for those student loans to be sold to another company. Now, that can happen for a variety of different reasons, but one of those reasons could be that your lender went out of business because they didn't have enough liquidity, and their debts are still valid. So they have the right to sell those in the bankruptcy in order to make some of their investors whole now, or partially whole. So this is maybe where I'm admittedly most concerned, is in these bankruptcy filings. It's possible that some of these debts get dismissed entirely. Some of them will be sold, and where your money is in this giant debt loan spaghetti, let's call it, because that's really what it is. I mean, like, look at this.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I've seen some big players in here, but also like I haven't heard. I would say 90% of these companies I've never even heard of. But my favorite for sure is 3 commas. If anybody out there is a Silicon Valley fan, Phil and I were just talking about this quickly before the show. Worst name for a company ever, man. 3 commas. It's like that's such a meme.
Right. But it's one of the things I want to dispel here, though, too, Bill.
Oh, the Star Trek Voyager is also there. Oh my god.
Oh, Voyager? You don't know
Voyager? Yeah. Better not Voyager's be the Star Trek Voyager.
Oh no, that's the Voyager lending app. That was okay. Just like Celsius. Like this is where this gets the scariest, and this is where our role becomes very apparent as Web3 developers. Our role is to build permissionless systems that involve self-custody that are usable by everybody. I mean, that's the hard part. Self-custody actually solves 99.9% of the problems that we see. It doesn't solve the adoption problem. And I call it an adoption problem because if it wasn't a problem, then we'd already have mass adoption. We could stop talking about it. It's a problem until we reach that point, that we need more adoption.
What do you see as the adoption problem? Like, do you think it's a user experience problem? Like, you know, people like your mom's so used to signing in to everything with her Facebook account. Is it like, you know, the internet became that easy when you could just go to a website, hit sign in with Facebook, and you were in? Like, is it some sort of, do you think it's a user experience problem like that?
The mainstream needs to be able to forget their password and have somebody else get it for them. There needs to be a way to do that. You can now.
Web3 is a very good package.
But speaking on the development level, I mean, how can you do this? You can do this a couple of different ways. I mean, you could use a protocol like Magic. You know, that's one way. We support Magic. There is some counterparty risk involved with that. Do your own research to decide whether or not for your dApp it's the right solution. Another way is account abstraction. Now, that sounds like, account abstraction, just use that. Well, it doesn't really exist yet. We haven't developed a full account abstraction system that's been battle tested and that we know will work in all situations. But could you create a user wallet that has basically full control by the user, but then you have some backdoors that you can use? But whenever you use any of those, it's fully transparent. It's on the chain. So you're not going to be able to take your customers' funds and invest them somewhere because your customer would be able to see that. And there wouldn't be any way to hide that under a responsibly designed account abstraction system. But that backdoor might be necessary in order to provide the user experience the mainstream's looking for. They want to be able to forget their passwords. So how does that look like on the development level? Like, let's get into this like really practically. So what you have is you have a master key on the top level. That master key can control all of the accounts below it. Now, you might design it so the master key only includes certain emergency functions. One of those could be move all funds from this account to another wallet, and also granting control of those keys to the user. So this would basically be the forgot my password function. They can create you a new wallet and move all of your funds over there. But that's all that it does. And that's all that the admin key allows you to do. That's where we need to think. We need to think about limitations for our admin keys. And if we put those limitations on chain and we make them immutable, then we can have a great deal of control over our mainstream users' assets while also granting them all the transparency they need. Bottom line is, when they look at their account, that needs to be a real on-chain balance. There is no exception to that going forward, especially long term. I mean, there's right now, if you need to on-ramp, you're probably using a central exchange, and I get that. But when we're talking about, like, what's our 10-year plan? What's our 20-year plan? It needs to include mathematically verifiable account balances. Otherwise, what are we doing? I know I'm going on a rant here, but this is really how I feel about this. At the end of the day, it could be central exchanges can exist decades from now, but not like this.
No, with a bunch of kids living in the Bahamas, getting wrecked together every
Oh
weekend.
man, I don't even want to get into that. I don't even want to get into anybody's personal business,
crazy,
but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
No, we're not naming names here. We're just hypothesizing about what people do in the Bahamas, whoever they might be.
Sure.
That's crazy.
But I mean, that's a concern too, Bill. You're absolutely right. And I think that irresponsibility breeds irresponsibility. If you just so when you see something like a loss of millions or billions of dollars, and then you dig a little deeper and you find other irresponsibility that you're like, well, that's not really related, but it also makes me uncomfortable. Don't be surprised. Because you start digging in that kind of hole, that's what you're going to find. So I think we're going to find a lot of disappointing things as we dig more into this FTX thing. But at the end of the day, I mean, these are lessons to be learned for us going forward. And there's no amount of money that was tied up in this FTX thing that cannot be rebuilt, regained, and redistributed within our industry. In fact, it will be. The successes of FTX, be they artificial, will be eclipsed 10 times over in our lifetime. And then that's where we're at with cryptocurrency. I mean, this is still the beginning. This is still us playing with the most powerful 3-point accounting tools that have ever been devised. And are there growing pains? You betcha. But it doesn't mean it's growing pain.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, so we kind of touched on a few things there, right, Phil? We talked about FTX and the problems with a centralized exchange. We talked about on-ramping and the problems with user experience when it comes to Web3. But that brings me very, very nicely, a nice segue, if you will, to one of the things we talked about in the title of this video, the new top secret plan of Moralis. Have you been aware of this, Phil? Have you had a little glimpse of anything yet?
So here's the thing. We're talking. I think we can say what it is, right? Because Ivan's been talking about. Yeah. So what we're talking about, Moralis money, and now is Moralis money going to be what I just described to you guys? No, not exactly, but it is taking into account these concerns that we were just talking about. So one thing that Moralis money is absolutely not going to be is a central exchange.
Yep, going to be an easy UX on ramp, and you're going to be able to buy, you're going to be able to swap, you're going to be able to earn reputation by using the app, by recommending friends, and that in turn is going to unlock some very nice things for you, the community. There's going to be nice airdrops on there. Right now, I'm building this in Next.js, and it has been an absolute pleasure to do. The design team have done such a great job. By the way, when we say Moralis money, we are not talking about Moralis coin. This is just a portfolio manager application.
No, yes, exactly. We're talking about a DeFi application that will allow you to look at all of your funds in the way that you should be able to view them already, frankly. There's a big issue with cryptocurrency where a lot of the tools that we really need, while we can imagine them as developers, they're not built out yet. And I'll give you one example that I shared when talking with members of our team. And that was, I really need a feature where I can see the balance of a deposited asset to a smart contract where they haven't issued me a coupon asset in exchange. And here's what I mean by that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the best way to check this out for yourself is go to Aave. You can do this on any chain that Aave supports. Deposit something in Aave, one of the supported assets. If you do this, you will receive a coupon asset. This is not financial advice. I'm not talking at all about the returns you'll receive. I'm talking about the mechanisms in place. You'll receive the coupon asset. The coupon asset is not really worth anything unless Aave, the protocol, exists. The Aave, the protocol goes away. That coupon asset, that's going to stay in your wallet, but it won't be worth anything because you can't redeem it for anything. What makes it worth something is the asset you can redeem it for underneath. So what about a DeFi protocol that doesn't do that? That takes your asset, pays your return, allows you to redeem it, but doesn't give you a token showing that you have rights to that asset. Well, right now there's no way to track that, and very few protocols are tracking those types of things at all. What about something more complex? If you participated in kind of a risky DeFi protocol and you want to know what the value of your assets were at the time you deposited relative to what you received and when you sold it, those functions, while they seem simple, just don't exist right now. And Moralis Money is designed to bridge that gap, to give you human readable, sensible information about your on-chain net worth and value, and to be able to make decisions with the full information of what's already on chain. So Moralis Money isn't going to show you anything that isn't already on chain. It's just going to show you it in a way that makes sense.
And a nice way to look at like what other, whales are doing when they're making big moves in the industry. You're going to get real-time alerts on your phone or on your desktop and keep you up to date with like any swings and movements in the system. Quick question here. Shout out to Stephen C. He says, will it be restricted access? This is something maybe you could talk about more, Phil. I'm not sure, because in America, there's very few dApps that allow access. I wasn't even aware of that.
So yes, some dApps are region restricted in the United States.
NordVPN.
Interesting. Well, obviously, it is possible in this day and age to alter what region you are in based on the endpoints that you're using to access the internet. I'll leave it at that. That could be an option. I'm not necessarily recommending that. I think in most of the time, when you're using a DeFi dApp, it is your responsibility to make sure you just keep track of any tax liabilities that you incur. I can't give you advice on that, but there are tax professionals who can. That is something I've talked to our team about. Could we partner with a tax services group that could provide some tax information through the platform? I don't know whether that's something we're going to see early on or not, but I love the idea, and it's certainly something I'm going to follow up on.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. That's a good idea. It's good to keep everybody aware of what they need to know for paying their taxes and cashing out. And not that I ever have cashed out. I just keep buying more random coins and looking at them. It's my hobby.
Since we won't be providing any of the services that are provided by our platform, so if there is exchange, and there likely will be, that service will be provided by a smart contract that's not actually part of the Moralis Money platform, I don't think that there are plans to do any kind of region restrictions. I will give you guys an update on this show if that ever changes. But as far as I know, there'll be no regional restrictions to using the website. But I do, as always, encourage you to follow your local regulations with respect to any financial software of any type, traditional finance or otherwise.
Nice. Stephen C says he'll take the job. He has accounting experience. Alexander says, can we see a piece of the project? No, not yet, buddy. Sorry. I'd love to share it. I would love to, because the designs are amazing. But as far as what I've been coding so far, I've been building out the front end, setting up the structure and the architecture and stuff. So not a whole lot to show on front end yet, but the designs look beautiful. Let me blast through some of the... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Phil.
There is a mailing list that they can join. It's if they want to be the first to hear about Moralis Money. Now, this is something that Ivan's been sharing on his channel, but I'm going to go ahead and pull this up for us here. So give me a second, Bill, while I get this.
You're good.
For our viewers.
You pull away there. I'm going to blast through our news because we're running super over schedule already. But in the news,
I can't believe it.
Yeah. Don't worry, don't worry. In the news this week, I just wanted to mention that the onboarding to the Moralis admin app has been improved a lot. If you are new to the admin app, or you're just trying it out, or you want to make a new account to see what it's like, you can now jump into the onboarding. You can see all of the different APIs, like getting the NFTs, get NFT by address, get transaction history and wallet totals. All of these things are now built into like interactive showcases. And even cooler than that, we're going to abstract that out and make a new thing called Moralis Playground, where you can jump in and see any of the APIs being utilized live. Next up in the news is V3 has dropped. I don't want to dive super deep into this, but if you're building using Create React App, which a lot of people are, check out Vite. It's everything that Create React App is, but better and faster. And V3 has just been dropped, so some big news there. Also, I wanted to shout out to say that we have a new channel on Discord in the community area. Of course, there is the new Web3 podcast, which is where me and Phil will be hanging out. Super encourage you guys to give us your DAP of the week, to ask us any questions, anything like that. We'd really, really appreciate it, and we'll answer as quickly as we can. We're both pretty active on Discord. And finally, in the news, I am looking for a new super talented front-end developer to join our team at Moralis. There's no job listing yet. I'm telling you here first because you're our community, but we would like to recruit. If you work with React, if you work with TypeScript, if you know any Next.js or style components, anything like that, we'd be really happy to hear from you. And the job will be going live soon, and I will let everybody know in Discord. Maybe I'll announce that in Discord. Phil, you posted the link there, right?
Yes, I went ahead and put that in the chat there because that is a link that we control. The moralis.typeform.com/TO/DJEX1BKZ. If you type that in, then you will get to the form where you can sign up to be the first to know about the Moralis Money Beta. So that first info is actually not going to come on this channel, but we'll be happy to echo it as soon as we know more. That's going to come straight from our CEO, Ivan Ontek, and we are very excited to be working on that with him and with his full blessing as well. You know, it's great to work for an organization that really understands the way the wind is blowing, understands what people worldwide need in terms of financial freedom, and wants to build the, safe pathways to that wherever we can. This is a community effort. At the end of the day, Moralis Money is going to incorporate all sorts of things that we did not build. That comes from you. It comes from the community. It comes from the major players that are part of what we're building. And if you're just getting started with us, great news. It's the best time to be getting started because it's the bear market. Some of my favorite projects that we've ever seen came during the bear market. Things like Polygon and BNB Chain and Aave. All of these are bear market projects that emerged during a bull run, but had been used by builders, testers, and enthusiasts for months prior. So this is that time when nobody else is here but us, but where we make the amazing things that really blow their mind when the prices start going crazy.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's really awesome working on this project and getting to build something totally new. It's really very exciting for me. Suniti's in the chat is saying it's going to require some coding sorcery. Most definitely. The good thing is that we have a fully loaded shotgun of APIs ready to go. And we won't reinvent the wheel on anything. Like, if there's really, really good systems out there and good packages, that's what we'll use first to get this thing up and running as quickly as possible. And quick shout out to Taijan in the chat. Hey, buddy. So, Phil, the hackathon has completed. There's going to be a closing ceremony. Anything for us to know about that, for our community to know?
Yeah. So let me run through that really quick. Here's what to expect right now. So right now, the judges are working hard to finish up their selection of who the winners are for Defining DeFi Hackathon. Now, each of the judging teams are judging independently, and I am encouraging them all to finish up by the weekend. Now, that said, I'll need a little time to put together the winning results, and the plan is to have all of that ready in time for the closing ceremony. Now, this relies on several teams all meeting the same deadline, and I know that we've struggled with this before in the past, and so keep in mind, if there are any adjustments that are made to that prize announcement schedule. I'm going to be really clear about what they are and if anybody's running behind or anything like that. But at this point, everything is still on track for the closing ceremony as announced originally. And I'm going to be working with each of our sponsors to hopefully keep that deadline as planned. Feel free to reach out to me in Discord if anybody has any questions on that. And you will know the winners as soon as that closing ceremony. And if anything changes, you'll know them as soon as I do. So appreciate everybody's patience on that.
What happens for the closing ceremony? Do we have like a get together in Gathertown, or like how does it work?
Well, so we've done a couple different things at different hackathons in the past. And what I've found works the best is if we have our finalists show off their projects during the closing ceremony. So I'm going to look into the practicality of that. It depends on how quickly our judges get information back to me. If we run into a situation where I don't have enough time, what we may do is disclose the winners during the closing ceremony and then schedule immediate showcases for all of the winners for the week after to be shown on this channel. Cool. It's all dependent on how quickly our judges get back to us. So I'm waiting to decide 100% how we're going to do it, depending on how much time I have. I would love to be able to do all the showcases at the closing ceremony, but from what I'm hearing, it may be that we don't know those winners until even as late as Monday, which wouldn't affect the time of the closing ceremony, but may affect the way that we do the initial showcases. That said, here's what to look forward to this week. Every single person who submitted a project for the hackathon will be receiving a POAP Mint link. If you submitted for the check-in, you will receive a second POAP Mint. Actually, yes, that's correct. You will receive a second POAP Mint link as well. So if you did both, you're actually going to receive 2 of those links. That is a good thing for you. Now, you can use both of those links if you like. That's no problem. But the more important thing to remember is if you're one of the people who received 2 links because you did the check-in and the final submission, you are on a short list for a Moralis showcase. They will come following the winner showcases. If you're a winner, then we can talk about something different that'll be special for you, because obviously we'll be showcasing you anyway. But what is this all about? This is all about giving you different avenues to show off your dApps, different avenues to continue development on them, and to get exposure. So we'll be talking more and more about that. But the first thing to look for is POAPs, then closing ceremony, and then finally showcase premieres the following week. And that'll depend on whether or not we're still showcasing winners or whether we've moved on to community showcases. Either way, this is all by the end of the year, folks. All for 2022. So still in 2022, we have all of this stuff going on. And I don't have anything to share yet for 2023, but hopefully by next podcast, we'll have an announcement on that as well. So you won't want to miss that one.
Awesome. Yeah, I was gonna ask actually, like it seems, you're when you go to do these hackathons, it seems like, it's all so much work for you as the builder, like you're online communicating with your team, you're building all the time, you're pushing as hard as you can to get to the deadline. But like probably what people don't realize is like there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes. Like how many people are involved in like planning and delivering this? Like what sort of stuff do you do, Phil?
Oh man, a lot of times it's a full team effort. Because when we're making these hackathon announcements about workshops and things like that, we're pulling in our writing team, we're pulling in our design team, we're getting, comments and feedback from people who are involved with the hackathon. The community engineers are always there working with you in Discord. And I mean, they're even there when we're not doing a hackathon, but they just even have to step it up more during that time. And, and then there's the events team as well, the ones you'll see a lot of times in GatherTown. That reminds me, I'm in GatherTown right now. If you're joining us for the first time, you don't know what am I talking about with this GatherTown place. Let me show you guys real quick what this is all about. And I also want to invite everybody to join us there in a little while. Bill and I are both going to be in GatherTown tonight, 8 p.m. UTC. So bring a beverage of your choice. We're happy to talk about any topics from this podcast, previous podcasts, what you're working on, questions
or
about
anything.
all this stuff is fair game.
We talked about video games, I think, for about like an hour last time, didn't we? That was with Tom Everything or Tom Everywhere. I'm spacing on the name right now, but yeah, I really enjoyed that hangout, man. It was really good fun. Really
Everything tech
genuine guy.
related is fair game. So don't be coy. Join us. You know, we're your friends. We're here to help you. You're never going to find a more welcoming place than the Moralis Gather Town, and then we try to keep it that way. So this is our dinner table here, where at 8 p.m. tonight we're going to have a roundtable discussion. We'll hope to see many of you there. Bill and I will be there, and probably for about an hour or so, just to chat with you and enjoy that time. So looking forward to that. Bill, did we have anything else to close out this week's podcast? We've had so much to talk about.
We do indeed, Phil. Thank you for asking. I feel like we need maybe like some sort of like theme tune for this, but it's the DAP of the week. So that's the best I can do.
I'm gonna add that to my notes.
Yeah. I feel like we need a cheesy sting at the front, you know, to really announce it. But yeah, we always like to kind of showcase the DApp, and obviously a good friend of mine, Elon's Dev, or not Elon's Dev now, I think he's called on Twitter. He had to make it very clear. But he shared an application with me called "Is My Wallet Seifu?" And it's very cool. It's a fork of another one, but I think he made a much nicer user experience and nicer UI for it. I don't know if Phil, maybe you can share it on the screen, but sure. Basically you go to this wallet. You don't even need to connect your wallet. You can just write in any wallet address you want, and it scans through the different tokens you have, and it tells you if anyone else is able to control those tokens in your wallet. About a week ago, maybe 2 weeks, no, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I got out of bed very early and looked at Twitter. Had a message from Doodles Imposter. If everyone knows Doodles, that NFT company with the really cute cartoons, 81,000 followers they had. Somehow this scammer had got 81,000 followers. They sent me a message saying that I'd been selected for an airdrop. I had to act fast. I was half asleep. I was very stupid. I signed the contract, clicked the OK, and then was like about 10 minutes later, I was thinking, like, where did I find out about this airdrop? Went back, looked at my MetaMask wallet again, and it was cleaned. Everything, all of my different current. I didn't lose very much, man. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. But I lost my Engine coin, which I'd had. My very first ever investment was my $50 of Engine coin. At one point, it was worth like $500, and now then it went way back down again. So yeah, I was heartbroken. But I could see that in this application, I could see that my wallet had been corrupted, and that I could actually then revoke the ownership back again, so that I gained control of that currency in my wallet again. So yeah, amazing app. Phil, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I was actually playing with it a little bit myself earlier today. You know what? Let me. You see if I have
my
a
wallet
test
address?
wallet,
You can see my ones that I haven't revoked yet, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to dox you, but if you don't mind, send it to me on Slack, and I can run a demo here for everybody. If it's empty anyway, it's probably the best wallet ever to do that with.
Yeah, it's pretty much cleaned out now. It's just like an NFT collection. So send this to you on Slack. Here we go. Old man tries to use internet live, never successful. Okay, there you go, buddy.
And there it is. Okay, so you can do this with your address or somebody else's. It really doesn't matter because you don't need to connect your wallet in order to search it. And so when I was looking at this is what I wanted to ask you, Bill. So what's this 0 here, though? You got revoke and update option, but then it says 0 in between.
I don't know what that metric is, but yeah, when you hit revoke, it opens up MetaMask. You have to like you can't do anything right now, right? Because it's like just showing you mine. But like if you connect your wallet to it, then you can actually perform the actions. So you can then revoke, and then there's like a small gas fee, to send that. So yeah, I will go and make my wallet healthy again when I can be bothered. Now, it's just my hot wallet. It's not like there's very, very little in it. It's not where I keep my cryptos.
Keep in mind with this, folks, when you go through and revoke each of these, you are going to have to pay gas for each of those transactions. So just come prepared. If it's something like a good example is on mine, I saw SNX. was approved to be spent, but it's approved to be spent by the synthetics contract. Well, that's the synthetics governance asset. So if they were to start taking SNX from their users' wallets, they would collapse the price of their currency anyway. So it's probably fine to actually have some of these for dApps that you use regularly and dApps that you trust. The approval is necessary, but once it's approved, anybody with the right amount of information can publish a transaction to that wallet. Anybody who has the correct keys. And when you approve a wallet, you're allowing those keys, the keys that control that smart contract, to control your wallet within the rules of that contract. So just keep that in mind, everybody. Be safe out there. And this can help you to get a handle on what you've approved in the past.
Actually, Elon's dev, hey buddy, he's in the chat here. He said the 0 means that you can update the coin amount instead of revoking if you want. The other thing that was weird is that it didn't seem to hit my ETH. I was wondering, is there like a technical reason for that? Because you need Ethereum to revoke the contract. So I'm thinking, is it safe for me to send $20 of Ethereum to that wallet now? And then
here's why. I can answer that.
Okay, thank you.
ETH is not an ERC20 token. So it is not possible to issue it the same instructions that you would an ERC20 token without wrapping it first. And you did not authorize that contract to perform wrapping functions on your ETH. So they actually don't have control over it. Unless the only way would be is if you sign a contract that allowed them to produce wrapped ETH from your wallet, then move the wrapped ETH. That might be possible, but it still gets a little bit sticky because ETH is not an ERC20. It would be much more complicated. Your ETH is probably safe.
Phil, I should just rely on you. I should actually not sign any contracts or prove anything until I've talked to Phil. That would be the correct way forward, I would say.
Well, but I can't give you financial advice on every contract.
Yeah, this is not financial advice. But yeah, thank you, Elon Steph. That's I know that you forked another tool to make this, but I used the other one as well. I think your UI is far better, and also I would never have been aware of it if you hadn't made this project. So for all my thinking was that like this wallet is corrupt now and I'll never be able to use it again. So I'm really happy that I'm going to be able to make it whole and make it happy. So yeah, thank you very, very much for that. I appreciate it, man. I think if there's any questions, by the way, really quickly before the end, fire them in the chat. But I have one question that I got on Discord this week from Alex RG. And he was asking about the dApp of the week. He's saying, to qualify for dApp of the week, do we need to use Web3 UI Kit? And the answer to that would be no. You do not have to use Web3 UI Kit. You can use anything you build with any product or any service related to Moralis that you release to production, or even if you have like a working demonstration we can try out. We'd be super happy to see it. And we want to showcase everybody's work as much as possible here. So it's like one of my main things that I thought would be cool about this podcast is that we can all share each other's dApps, try them out, share them on socials and stuff. So yeah, anything Moralis related at all, we'll be very happy to consider it for the dApp of the week. Phil, do you have any sentiments? You're always the best for rounding off with like a nice feeling. And I don't know. I've lost words now. You're always the best to round off with a nice sentiment for the community. But yeah.
Well, I appreciate everybody joining us here today. You know, it's great to be able to talk with you guys like this every week. And just like we're just getting started in crypto, we're just getting started with our podcast, and we really want to grow this out from here. If I believe wholeheartedly that in 2022, about to be 2023, the best way to get into Web3 and to get into crypto is in building. Don't start with trading. Don't start with investing. Start with building. Now, we're probably going to talk you into buying some utility assets, a little ETH, maybe some Bitcoin, and some other things to get you going, because you're going to need those assets in order to perform on-chain functions. And that may eventually turn into some investing when you see those assets go up in the next bull cycle. But that's not what it's all about. And when I say, if you're looking for the group that's really here for the tech, you found it, because that's why we're here. And we believe it's a technology that can change the world, that can make the world better. But in order to do that, we need to build the right way, and we need to work to avoid the pitfalls of the old order of traditional finance, the same companies that lost families their retirement funds under the old order, when Bear Stearns, when Lehman Brothers went under. This was traditional finance failing the regular person. And we need to create a system where that can never, ever happen again. And we can do it through Web3. So thanks for being here with us. Thanks for taking this journey with us. And we'll see everybody next week.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Phil. That was beautiful. Bye, everybody. Next week.